first, please, you know him as Jesus and recently serial killer profiler Malcolm Bright. Welcome to the stage, Tom Payne. And of course, we have the kick-ass Father Gabriel. Please give it up for Seth Gilliam. How's it going, guys?
Very good.
Pretty good, thanks.
Nice to be back seeing people again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, how are you feeling? Have you been to a couple conventions already, or is this?
No, this is it. This is the first one. I finished working on Prodigal Son back last March, and then my wife got pregnant, and then we just had a baby, and so I'm like,
congratulations.
Thank you. So we've been kind of in that cocoon,
yeah.
And this is the first time I've been out of that cocoon, and it's been weird and emotional, but very fun, and it's been a weird weekend.
How's it like being a new dad?
Cool. I mean, actually, this is my first public forum to talk about being a father. It's like a car crash at the beginning. It's like a car crash. You've got PTSD, especially during COVID now, because you have to wear a mask. There's a whole thing, so you're wearing a mask throughout the whole thing, which my wife actually kind of liked. She said it was nice to be like cocooned within that, but it means that it's hard to eat and drink.
So you have to wear a mask at home with the baby?
No, in the hospital.
Oh, got it.
For the whole hospital thing.
Yeah.
And so then it's hard to eat and drink, and you're kind of like locked away. And so you come out after the whole experience just so shell-shocked by the physical thing that just happened, but also like you're sleep-deprived and you haven't eaten enough or drank enough. And there are all these weird feelings that come up because it is like PTSD. It's like you've had this traumatic experience and then you have weird feelings towards the whole thing. But then, of course, it's amazing. You've got this lovely baby, but then you have to keep him alive, which is a whole other thing.
I know.
And no one tells you how to do that.
No.
Like, no one, luckily my wife, she's breastfeeding, and that's okay. Well, I guess we just do this. But it's...
Luckily we have YouTube,
Yeah. We definitely watch some YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But it is a very strange thing to just suddenly... There's no rule book, there's no manual, and there's nothing that anyone can tell you that will completely prepare you for that moment. Nothing.
I'm really happy for you. This is going to sound corny, but I just know that you're such a good person. The things you tweet out and the vibe you put out. So this is a lucky kid, man. He has a good,
thank you very
vibe.
much. Thank you. I hope so. I've just got to not fuck it up now.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's such a responsibility.
You won't be able to completely avoid fucking it up, but hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, how about you, man? How is it being among the people and everything? Was it weird not having conventions for 2 years? Something kind of nice about that?
You'll have to forgive me. I kind of lost my voice just talking too much because I just talk too fucking much. But it's been a great experience. I did miss the live in-face interaction with the fan base and hearing what they think of the character and the story and everything else like that. So this has been a great thing to come back to.
I mean, because I think Father Gabriel is really interesting because he may be the character where fan sentiment has swung the most since you started, because he's so great now and he so wasn't when he first came on, no offense. So I bet you that 2-year gap, there's been a shift in his character since then. So are you getting a different reaction because of that or not really?
No. Now I get a lot of love, and before I got a lot of hate. And, as an actor, you try to take what you're given and reflect back, so I throw a lot of hate back at people. And now I'm chatting
Seth was
love.
A bitter person when I joined the show. I had such a great experience when I joined, and I was like, because everyone loved my character, I was like, oh, this is so great. Seth was like, I have people wait in line to tell me how much they hate me. And that they're not going to buy an autograph, that they just hate me. And I was like, oh my God, we're having such different experiences of this.
Yes, we were. Then everyone was like, oh, we have to get the Father together with Jesus. And it's like, why would you do that? Oh, so that we can draw on your face in the picture. Thanks.
So what are they saying now at Fandemic?
Now they all want Father Gabriel to come home with them and take care of their enemies and things like that.
It's better.
Yes.
Yeah, give it up, man. Give it up for Father Gabriel. He's the best. So I forgot to mention, this is more about you than me, and I don't know where the mic is. Oh, right over here. You guys are already lined up. I got a few questions I want to throw in there, but let's throw one out to you guys. What's your name and where you're from?
My name's Clara.
Hey, Clara.
You don't have to say where you're from if you don't want. What's your question?
What's your biggest mess up on camera?
Oh, that's a good. I hadn't think I've had one of that before.
Yeah, that'd be a question for you, Tom.
Oh, because you never mess up.
No.
What's my biggest mess up on camera? I'm not sure. That's a really good question. I have to think back to all the stuff that.
Is it right now?
Yes, it is right now. I don't know, really. Do you have one?
No, I don't mess up in front of the camera.
I don't tend to mess up in front of the camera. And when I do this, never... like on my last show... actually, we did have a bit of a blooper thing on my last show. But they never did a blooper reel or anything. Oh, they did one time. At one rap party that we had.
They do blooper reels pretty much at every rap party.
I just wasn't invited to all of them.
Yeah. And I'm never in them, so...
No, I don't think I was in one, and I was like really disappointed, and then I was like, oh yeah, no, because I don't mess up.
So
wasn't there something when you were being chased around the field when we first met your character?
Well...
With Norman and Andy?
Well, okay. So, yeah, but they weren't mess-ups. But Norman, this is kind of full circle, actually, because Norman actually got a concussion that day when when he was chasing me around the field. He, like, fell out of the truck or something. Like, he hit his head on the truck or something, and he had to go lie down in a dark room for a bit. I was like, oh, my God, I've killed Norman Reedus on my first day on the show. And this might not have been a mess-up, but he did punch me in the face during that as well. That was probably on purpose. But that day was just a lot of running around and getting really sweaty and hot. Andy tied me up really, really tight when on the, and he was supposed to not tie me up really, really tight, but he did on the road that day. But yeah, I don't think I did any mess ups that I can remember. But that was a really good question. So I'm going to have to think about it a bit longer.
I think,
nice to meet you, Clara.
Since you brought up Norman and his concussion, I think I read that he's okay and he's going to get back to
back on
soon,
Tuesday,
right?
yeah.
So that's cool. Just wanted to mention that.
Woo!
Thank you. Who's
Thank
next?
You, Clara.
Hey, I'm Heather.
Hey, Heather.
Asheville, North Carolina.
Nice.
So I have a question for you, Tom.
Yeah.
So despite still being very much alive in the comic series, we tragically lost Jesus at the hands of a whisperer in season 9.
Mm-hmm.
So my question for you is, were you disappointed that you weren't able to continue to explore Jesus' story on screen? And if you had one, how was your death dinner?
Okay. By the time I got killed, I was disappointed. So I had told them, like, look, if we're not going to do any of this cool stuff, like fighting Negan or like, you know, or there was a lot of cool stuff that he does in the comic books, and that was really the only thing that I had to go off, because you don't get the scripts in advance. So I read the comic books, and that's how I did my preparation. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. He gets to do all this stuff during All Out War. And none of that stuff happened. So so I was like, oh, this is a bummer. Like, I worked really hard at the martial arts and everything. And so I was a bit like, you know what? We need to kill some more people, so why don't you kill me? Because I was a bit disappointed in the All-Out War as well, because it's like All-Out War, and like, who's gonna die? And like, nobody really died. You know, some people did, but like none of the big characters. So I was like, listen, you can kill me. And they did. I was like, I was serious about it, but I didn't expect them to kill me that quickly. But at the same time, like I was ready to go. I was bummed that he never fought Negan, and that him and Aaron weren't the ones who took down Beta. That bummed me out. Because it's such a big part of the comic books, and I know the show is different to the comic books. But yeah, Jesus did also live to the end, and it would have been fun to see him, I think, with the Whisperers and all that stuff. But having said that, I did love the exit. I thought it was a great way to introduce the Whisperers, and a really big shock. And everyone's been coming up to me and saying how much of a shock it was and stuff. So I was really happy and grateful to be part of that big moment. in
You've
the
also
show.
I remember when we were in Cincinnati and you were showing me or maybe it wasn't in Cincinnati, that's when we first hung out at Horror Hound.
Yeah.
But at one point I remember you showing me on your phone some video footage of the training, the martial arts training that you'd done. You should put that out on Twitter or something.
I have put some of it out. Yeah, I have. Because I did so much work and I have a lot of the
It's like running off of, flipping off of walls, doing all kinds of matrix stuff.
Yeah,
I trained very hard for it.
Yeah, like Tom Holland in Spider-Man.
Dang. I wanted to see that too. I'm a fan of the comics.
Yeah, we put some of it out on Talking Dead and some of it out on Instagram.
No, I mean the story from the comics that Jesus had. Like, I was looking forward to it too.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people. Well, that was also my frustration, is that I would do conventions and everyone would come up to me and talk about how cool the character was and how they couldn't wait for these things to happen, and then none of them happened. And I was kind of feeling the same with the fans. I was like, yeah, no, I can't wait either. It's going to be so cool and exciting.
Training so hard.
Yeah, I'm working really hard. Don't worry, I'm going to do it justice. And then, anyway, that's how it goes.
It's interesting because it's almost the opposite with Gabriel. He had a pretty gruesome death in the comics.
Oh, yeah.
Who's read that? It involved a ladder and a water tower, and they've the water tower has been popping up in the scripts. Does that make you nervous?
No, it doesn't make me nervous. It's what's upsetting mostly is when people come up to me and go, "Why haven't they done what they did in the comic books to you?"
Did they do it to anyone else?
No, they haven't.
Okay.
They haven't. They're holding on to that, I guess, for me at some point. No, I've noticed at least 3 different times when the water tower has come up, and it seems kind of ominous and foreboding, but so far it hasn't happened. Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Hey.
And this question is for Tom. So on Prodigal Son, you play a really, really complex character with all these different issues and conditions, and I was wondering how you prepared to dive into such a dark headspace and still keep things light, and if anything stuck with you from that role.
That was it was a pretty stressful role. They're very, very different from Jesus. Jesus was pretty straight down the line, like very calm and collected, and knew who he was. And that character is just all over the map. I had to ultimately just dive into my emotional life in each scene and take each scene as it comes. Because he's continually getting surprised by feelings and emotions and everything he's discovering. At the beginning of the show, he meets his father, played by Michael Sheen again, for the first time in like 10 years. And what was most fun about that was just understanding the history between the two characters and then just letting the scene play and not having any major decisions made before the scene starts, because otherwise you're kind of creating it and making it a bit too artificial, I think. And I think the reason why that performance worked was because I was just very open to any emotions that came up. And because Michael's such a wonderful actor. And all the other actors really fit into their roles really well. And so I was able to just be on an emotional level going into every scene and then just allowing the scene to play out. Because Malcolm didn't have any real controls over himself. Like, he would take his medication and that would help him. But at the same time, he's very vulnerable. And so for shooting that show was just involved a lot of vulnerability for the character and being open to what would come, which was great. It was a lot of fun. And because it was very different to Jesus for me, it was fun to play, but it was exhausting. And I know now, because I have a bit more of emotional hold, but I'm quite an emotional person as well. But I understand completely how exhausting it is to have any kind of PTSD or any, it's just like, it's a lot going on that you have to work hard to control every day. And I'm really gratified by the response that I've had from people who have similar issues. So yeah, I was really honored to play that character.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Hello.
Hi, my name is Freddie from New York. I want to say, first of all, thanks for being part of a great show. I have my daughter Lara here. We made a trip down from New York. And every Sunday, me and my family get together, and we really enjoy watching. It's a great source of entertainment. It also brings up some good things to talk about. So what I want to ask is the question specifically for Seth. I think you see characters like Rick, Shane. They're pretty much the policeman, the same thing, but Father Gabriel has made that character, I think, the biggest change in terms of where that character started, at his all-time low, failing the flock is what he said. So to me, as a practicing Catholic and a military guy who did 3 combat tours, my question to Seth is, do you as the actor and do the writers really consider how the character started and that he balances his faith, which is what he should do, and with action, which is what he needs to do? And I think as a father, that's really important, that we have to balance that in this crazy world. And I just want to know, how much do you guys effort to put into that? Because it really shows for me something that I can talk about with my family, and I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you for your question. I think there was a question in there.
Yeah, balancing the faith and the action.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. Well, I'm not sure what the writers have changed over the years. So we've had different writers writing for this character. They don't really consult with me on what the journey is going to be for the character. I just kind of get the script and have to fill in the blanks mostly on my own. I haven't been given much heads up as to where the character is going, so a lot of it has been a surprise for me, as well as the audience, where he's wound up from where he started. As far as balancing the faith, I have to remove my own. I'm sorry. What's up with the baby? Where's the baby? Yeah, hold the baby. Hold the baby. Caress the baby. Quiet the baby. For me, I have to kind of remove my own relationship to God from Gabriel's, because his has been so conflicted. It's been so back and forth, and he's gone into such a darker place in his relationship to God than I've ever gone in my relationship to God. So I kind of keep the two separate and try and make as much sense out of what I'm given by the writers as I possibly can. And I think that's the challenge for the actor, especially when the character is being written in real time, and it's not something that you're pulling out of a compendium and going word for word and verbatim on what he's saying. So I guess ultimately they give me, a salad, let's say, of many different ingredients, and I try to blend in how much of what to use, when and where.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That brings up something I wanted to talk about a little bit. I saw tonight's episode, as anyone who has AMC Plus saw. Who saw it? Okay, so not everyone. There's a scene I want to talk about. It's not that big of a spoiler, just a little bit. I think you guys will forgive me because it's really interesting with Father Gabriel. So Father Gabriel gives a really heartfelt sermon in tonight's episode. And first off, I just wanted to add, because I don't know if we've seen him speak like that before, maybe a little bit, but not much. And I never really actually felt moved like I did in this episode. And I wondered how it was for you to finally give some kind of really heartfelt, moving sermon like that.
Thank you. That it was heartfelt and moving. I stuck the script in the middle of the Bible and read it.
Acting 101, everybody. Well, here's something that it's part of the script that I'm going to read from my Bible here. It says, he's talking to the church, the people who came to church. Those of you that were out there in the wasteland, from the people you found, from the ones you could rely upon, that it didn't matter that you were strangers beforehand, did it? You were forced to see the humanity in each other, and though not bound by blood, these strangers became more than friends. They became family. And you didn't seem like you were just reading it like I did. It felt like there was some emotion behind it. And it made me think of the fan community, the Walking Dead fan community, and I wonder if you've had thoughts of like, because there's that whole hashtag TWD family, and there's just a real community vibe, and do you feel like that's bled into the scripts at all, or is it just a coincidence that this theme has been coming up in The Walking Dead?
I'm not sure how the writers go about doing what they do. I don't know where their influences are coming from. It is kind of interesting that it does kind of reflect the whole Walking Dead family vibe. But I can't really speak to the writing of it. I can only say that in the Commonwealth, and the place that they've come to find a home in, there are lots of reflections that seem to be coming off of the world of the Walking Dead family. So it's interesting. I did not make that connection when I was reading it off the page, but I'm glad it comes across as I knew what I was saying.
Why do you think, both of you guys, why do you think there is such a family vibe around The Walking Dead in particular? I don't feel like every show's like that.
I think Walking Dead is probably one of the last shows that everyone, which was always very strange to me that it was a family show, as far as like little kids go and stuff. But hey, whatever. I mean, I would have watched it when I was a little kid. But I think it's one of the last shows that, okay, every one day of the week, every Sunday, like we gather around and watch it, and it fosters a community in that sense. And people still have like Walking Dead barbecues and Walking Dead gatherings at their house, and that feeds into all of these things as well. And it's been a really enjoyable part of the whole thing. And I think with the dawn of streaming and all that stuff, that's kind of going away. And I think even now with The Walking Dead, because of the AMC Plus thing and everything, it does kind of dilute that a little bit. But that's just the nature of where we are today, I think. Yeah, but I have really enjoyed it. I mean, it was funny, we were just talking about it now, and I'm thinking about the Fast and Furious movies and how, like, family is such a big part of those movies as well. And, I mean, Walking Dead was always about a disparate group of people coming together since the very beginning. And also there's always an identifiable person for everyone who's watching it. Like, there's always someone like, oh, I'd be that guy, or that's me. And you could always find yourself in the cast, which I thought was a really great thing, and definitely helped contribute to the success of the show.
When you're looking for yourself, is it Jesus or is it someone else?
I think I would have been Glenn. But I like, I mean, there was, obviously, like, I played Jesus, and there's definitely big parts of me in Jesus. But I think overall, just as a regular person, I would have been more closer to Glenn.
Interesting. What about you? Do you feel most connected to Gabriel or someone else as far as similarity to yourself? Negan.
I've always kind of, lately anyhow, felt a kinship to Judith. I think there's a small white girl inside of me.
A sassy one, right?
So to Judith.
Hi.
How you doing? My name's Rich from Swanee, Georgia. And
Get real close to the mic so we can...
Sorry. Name's Rich from Swanee, Georgia. I got 2 questions for Tom. Wow. Tom, we really enjoyed you on The Walking Dead, and then we were sad to see you leave on The Walking Dead, and then we were very happy to see you show up on Prodigal Son. What's going on with Prodigal Son? Is it going to come back?
No, we got canceled. Fox loves to cancel things, and it was a bunch of different things. Like everything got very expensive during COVID, and we were split between Hulu and HBO Max and Fox, and so there was a rights issue with like, okay, how are we going to make this happen somewhere else? Fox also have some rights to the show, and COVID added so much extra cost. With everyone testing every single day and all of the PPE and all that kind of stuff. So I think just on the page, it didn't quite make financial sense to carry on, which is a shame, but because I love the show. And I think as much as it didn't have like an absolute definite 1,000,000% this is the end, it does work as the end of the show.
Yeah. And then I loved your stunt work on both shows. What is your martial arts background?
I didn't have one. I was a gymnast when I was younger, and I've always been quite, I'm kind of the right size to, do tumbling and all that kind of stuff. And so I was generally quite athletic. And so when I found out I was doing The Walking Dead as this character, I made a big effort to get involved with martial arts. And so I signed up with this trainer called Stephen Ho in LA, and we got to work. And I would see him twice a week for about 5 or 6 weeks before I started on season 8. And 7. And I kept it going the whole time because it was really important to me to be able to invest in such a big part of the character. But as Seth said, one of the major problems with television is that you never know what's coming, and you can't really fully prepare like you would for a movie or a play, where you have a beginning, middle, and an end to a character. So it can be, and what ended up happening with me, it can be very frustrating because you're trying to do all the work that you can do, but you have no idea of actually what you're going to be given to work with. And I think, I think ultimately, as much as I'm really happy and proud that I did all the work that I needed to do, I think I didn't help myself and did myself a disservice because I was looking forward to certain things that had no guarantee of happening. And that's as it turned out.
Thank you very much. Very
Thank you.
interesting. And Seth, thank you for being such a badass on the wall.
Thank you.
I'm short. Hi.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. I think that's, holy cow. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to do this. Hi, I'm Felicia. I'm from Minneapolis.
Hey, Felicia.
Hi. Okay. So this is a question for both of you regarding perspective and how it can change when you are at the beginning of something and nearing towards the end of something. For Tom, you have a different perspective with yours because, Seth, you're still currently on the show. As this whole beast is winding down to a close, what has been your perspective on, well, at the beginning I thought I believed in this, or I thought I knew this about myself, but as it came to that end, wow, it didn't turn out the way it did, or I learned something different than I thought I would?
That's a really good question, because there's definitely, I think everyone goes on a journey with the show, and with your career, everyone has a certain journey. With the show, my first premiere of the show was going to Madison Square Garden for season 6, and it completely blew my mind. And I was like, because I didn't watch the show at the beginning, and I knew Andy, and it'd been going for 6 years, and I knew people watched it, and it was a big deal. But there was nothing like being in Madison Square Garden and actually being a bit scared about the whole thing. These guys all got up on stage and were like, oh, this is, and the whole of Madison Square Garden's going crazy. That was a big deal. And then I enjoyed the whole riding the wave of Walking Dead and going through it and having the long hair and the beard and, getting recognized in public and, being slightly famous is a fun deal. But then it was really nice to be able to cut it all off and play the other part and do that. And I guess the perspective really is going on that roller coaster and joining the biggest television show in the world, but then it not quite ending up going exactly how you want it to be. But having all this fame and I bought a house during, all that kind of stuff, it definitely changed my life. But it didn't necessarily make me happier. It definitely helped me in aspects of my life. But it was nice to be able to kind of realize what was really important during the whole journey. And actually, the conventions and meeting the fans were a huge part of my whole journey with Walking Dead. And if I'm truly honest, my favorite part of the whole experience. And I really feel that all actors should go to conventions or at least meet their fans, because I think it's easy to become disconnected, and it's so important. That's why actors should do theater, and you should connect with the people that are giving you your livelihood, and The Walking Dead was such a big deal, and there's so many people all around the world involved in it. And yes, it's nice to go and be like, oh yeah, I'm that guy off that TV show, but it's lovely to come and look in someone's eyes and give them a hug and take a picture, and that's honestly the biggest thing that I took away from the whole thing. So the perspective has really been about that and about why you do it and what you're doing it for. Because before then it was like, I want to do the biggest job, I want to be in movies, and yeah, I want to be on the biggest show on television. But then understanding what that really means. And it's been really great. And I really feel like anyone who's got a big head about being an actor or like making loads of money or like being famous, like, it's all rubbish. It's all complete BS. And you should really, like, come down and meet the people, I think. Very rambling answer.
I don't know if I have time to answer.
Sorry.
The fuck?
Next question.
My perspective, interesting that you mentioned Madison Square Garden. I had my mother there who doesn't really watch the show. She sat in the front row and I got booed by 15,000 people. I was sat on the stage of Madison Square Garden and saw every other actor announced to get a huge, rousing ovation. They introduced me. I got booed. I jumped up, basically said, and sat back down and thought, fuck this crowd. Yes, now it's a lot of love. So my perspective has changed completely. I didn't want to go to conventions and meet these fans who booed me. But I found that I do love the interactions with the fans and knowing whether or not they're getting the story that I'm trying to tell. And that's been enlightening. I've been able to travel the world and see how my acting is perceived and received, which has been very helpful. And the character has changed over the years to the point where now he kills and people love him. Bloodlusty crowd. So my perspective is one now of that people are capable of change, and just like Father Gabriel has changed, the reception to him has changed, and the things people say to me on the street have changed.
I mean, I always admire the actors that play the super flawed, unlikable characters because they have to go through that, but we need all those kinds of characters. And it kills me, like Brighton Charbonneau, who played Lizzie. She was 11 years old. She was getting death threats online, like just people need to separate the characters from the parts.
Well, that's what Josh came off social media because of all that stuff as well.
I got death threats before fucking Josh. He's a bitch.
Yeah, but you're not on
2 death threats and left social media. I got 12. Fuck Josh.
But you came to all the conventions anyway, and I feel like you had a pretty good reputation for fans enjoying their interactions with you from the start, right?
Well, I guess.
You did.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good question. Hi.
Hi, my name is Casey, and my question is for Tom. So one of my favorite things about your character was I really loved Jesus' friendship with Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, what do you think Jesus would feel about Maggie's loyalty to the hilltop and choosing to stay back and rebuild instead of taking her people to the Commonwealth?
I think he'd really like that. He'd be also asking her, where did you go? And where were you when I got killed? And why did you abandon us? But cool, good for you, you're still alive. But no, I think it would be great. I mean, literally everyone died. So who else is going to be the leader? Oh, she better come back and be the leader. So I mean, honestly, I think he'd be like, "Good for you, you're still alive, brilliant." But I think in the big swing of things, I think it's great that she's back and in charge. I mean, he was always like a big champion of hers, and wanted her to be, in a more powerful position, and he was very supportive of her. He was very supportive of her. There was one. This is on tape, isn't it? Or whatever. I'm not on the show anymore.
Yes, it's all on micro.
There was a moment at the end of season 8, when she was like, "I'm going to get revenge on Negan," and they wanted me to be like, "Yeah, we will." And I had spent the whole season being kind of anti-killing Negan and anti-fighting people and anti all that kind of stuff. And so it was me going, "Yeah, we will." And then Norman coming out of the shadows and going, "Yeah, we will." And I just refused to do it. And I said, I didn't say the line. I said the line in kind of like, "Yeah, we will," like kind of half supporting. And they cut it out. And then they killed me the next season. But it's really hard for me to. I told them at the time, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I can't lie on camera because you'll be able to tell. Yeah. And I spent the whole season being against war and against all this kind of stuff. And as much as my character would support Maggie, I felt like it was a bit of a weird thing for him to do, and like I couldn't do it truthfully as an actor, and I just refused to. So they cut it out. But I feel like he would have been very supportive of where she is, but he would want to have a discussion with her, as he did that whole season. I was like talking to her about, "Are you sure you're going to do this? Wait, what's this about? Blah 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 blah." I think it's a shame that they're not there together right now, because I think that would be really nice. Mm-hmm. But
maybe a resurrection.
Yeah, they did that with a flashback, like 3 episodes later, which I thought was kind of fun. They did that flashback where I gave the pact to Kari or whatever in the thing. That was fun. But yeah, I think you'd be happy for her because she's still alive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see we've got 5 minutes left, so as much as possible, maybe we can try to rapid fire through the rest of you guys' questions. Go ahead. Hi.
Sorry, that's my fault.
Hi, this question is for Tom and Seth.
Yeah.
You spoke about your frustrations about not getting what you want for your character. What is something you learned about how to express those frustrations to your boss? And
don't tell them you won't do stuff, because they'll kill you.
I mean,
especially on that show.
I mean, what do you not do? What do you do and what do you not do? What is the appropriate thing? What is something maybe you regret doing, or anything at all?
It's really hard. You don't have any power as an actor, is what you learn, really. Unless you're, like on Prodigal Son, I was like the lead of the show. You have a bit more power then. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, you don't have any power as an actor, and it's very frustrating. Mm-hmm. Especially if you feel like you've invested in the part and you know the part, and it comes from you. It's really hard when you get into those situations. It's really hard. So I don't know what I've learned, really. It's just like shut up and get on with it. But that's really hard.
Yeah, because you want to give it your all, but then
you want to. Yeah.
I've learned that using logic helps to express and vent frustration with your boss. If you've got a logical, rational argument that you can make on your behalf, then it kind of shuts them up and makes them think.
Mm-hmm. So you can actually change their minds sometimes.
So you can change their minds in that way.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Next.
Hi, I'm Darian. I'm from Michigan, and this is for Tom. So I love Malcolm. Did you have to do any preparation for his part?
Like I said before, so I read up on the profiling and serial killers and all that kind of stuff, but ultimately, Malcolm was just a big open wound, basically. So that's ultimately how I approached that job. And every scene was just to be completely emotionally open and see where the scene went. And that was it. And that requires a lot as well, because then you're just like on edge the whole time. But it made for a good performance, I think. So yeah.
Thank you. Hey.
Hi, I'm Kai from Buckeye, Arizona.
Hey.
And this is a question for Seth. You said like when you first joined the show, you got a lot of hate. What's the rudest thing you said to a fan?
There are children here. But it was basically a line from Raging Bull. Your mother sucks big elephant dicks.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Hanako, and I'm from Atlanta. I have a question for Seth. So I see that you've recently signed on to do the Teen Wolf movie, and I'm so happy to see that. My question is, what will you have to do as an actor to move from Father Gabriel's mindset back to Deaton, and also to revisit a character that you've been removed from for several years?
He has to put his lines in a different book.
That's a great question. You start with going back and watching the 6 seasons of Teen Wolf and trying to remember who it was you created, because you've been living in another skin, essentially, for a few years. So I'm going to watch what I did. Hopefully that will remind me what I did, and then I can recreate the character. I don't carry Father Gabriel around with me. I kind of slip into that when I go to work. So I don't imagine it's going to be a big block for me to slide back into Deaton's shoes or Deaton's skin. I'm hoping that's going to be the case. And I read the first 20 pages of the Teen Wolf movie, and it is fantastic. It's fantastic, and it's a very different world. They're apples and oranges, the characters. So I don't imagine it should be very difficult. I hope I'm not hexing myself by saying that now.
Okay. One other thing, I said this to you similarly in Sonoya a couple of weeks ago, but the hate that you give for what you do as Father Gabriel, just please attribute that to the fantastic job that you do as that character.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, last question. Hi.
Hi, I am also short. I'm Adrian, and my question is for Tom. Yesterday at the booth, you told me that they're making a sequel to The Physician, and my question is, like, how are you feeling about that, and are you excited to return to the role of Rob Cole after, a decade of being without him?
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that it's 10 years since I did that part, and there's kind of trying to make it almost a direct continuation, which is kind of funny, because I don't think I look exactly the same as I did.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, I know. We're going to mess around with it, I think. But I'm really excited. Like I was saying earlier on, I've been doing television now for like 7 years or something, and it's really, I can't wait to go back and do a movie. Like, I'm sure Seth's really excited about going, just knowing what the beginning, middle, and end of a story is. And I have the script for the Physician sequel, and it's great, and I'm really excited. And it's, again, in like a medieval world, and it's completely different from Walking Dead and Prodigal Son. And so I'm really excited. We'll be filming back in Europe again, which will be really nice.
It's like you're going back in time.
Yeah, it really will be. I mean, we were supposed to shoot during COVID, and then that messed up between seasons of Prodigal Son. But hopefully, fingers crossed, next year I'll be going back to Europe and doing a great, like, we don't make those kind of movies that often anymore, like this big, like, medieval epic movie. So I'm really excited to get back and do that, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Wait, hold up. I want to first thank Seth for coming and doing this, even though your voice is shot. I appreciate you making the time and coming on stage. Thank you guys for some great questions. Your questions have gotten better over the years. I feel like you guys are really
good.
on point. And let's.
Hi, this is Maisie Richardson-Sellers, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be a legend and hit that like button, and most importantly, have fun and follow your fandom.